taste.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Hazmat Guys Nation Roundtable. This is a multimedia platform to bring hazmat response information and training tips from hazmat members from around the globe. I am Bobby Salison, and I will be the host, if you can call it that, for tonight's show. And I'm joined by Jason Rogers, Mike Monaco, and Phil Ambrose. Bob Kosh is out on assignment, and he will be unavailable for tonight's show, but I'm sure his drinking exploits will be given up somehow. So, what's going on around here tonight? Jay, what do you got? You got something to tell, right?
We had an interesting run. I'm the dumbest guy in the room, so you guys probably all know about this. Are you familiar with the anti-theft or security devices in safes?
Any die packs?
No, not die packs. So let me back it up. Phil, yes.
And all the guys in Massachusetts watching right now are nodding their heads, yes.
So we had a run a couple of weeks ago, and it was to a jewelry store that, kind of 'tis the season, they're doing their shopping, and suddenly they
right now are nodding their heads.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So they started having the burning eye sensation. Mucous membranes were all kind of burning, and they evacuated the store. Call in fire, call in hazmat. Of course, we don't read anything on the monitors. Long story short, later it's determined that a safe had a glass ampule that was a theft device, was broken, and in the glass ampule, in the door somehow or some way, was CS, tear gas.
Yes, I've heard about this.
Yeah. Now, the only thing that we got any kind of hit on was ammonia, which I don't think that properties, as we were looking, although and it was only like 5 or 10 parts per million, but there was some. And because we got it on a colorimetric tube. Everything else we tested was negative. Ventilated, and the jewelry store, they had like a little jeweler's shop, one room little deal that was venting into the common attic of the shopping center, and people in the bank and the computer store were all evacuated as well, because they started to be pseudo-symptomatic just with the irritation. So I just thought that was interesting. We really were surprised that it came back down to the safe. We actually solidified, oh my gosh, like the gold plating material, the cleaning material. They had some acids. We had all kinds of colors on our pH paper on stuff from the jeweler's workshop. And he had little burners, little crock pots that had cleaning material. I mean, some of this stuff they were telling us was literally 20, 30 years old that they'd been doing like gold plating and that sort of stuff with. So it got axed, solidified, brought out, and we ventilated, and everything was happy until they went to put everything back in the safe, which it still had that lingering smell. And what do you know? That was what they found. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's CS. That's some
chloropicrin. All right, it's very similar to what they use in the fumigation.
Right. It's one of those non-lethal type of tear gases.
And as I said that, Bob Lundgren from Shrewsbury, Mass, on one of the regional teams there in Massachusetts. He's actually in Anniston, Alabama right now teaching. He followed up with a text, yes, because I know they've had a few out there, and there is a particular department out there, might be one of the oldest fire departments, that actually has an old safe in one of their old buildings that it still hasn't been, say, breached, but it would be interesting to drill it and see. But that's not uncommon. It happens every now and then, and actually we first learned about it last year on Hazmat Nation.
But, when did this happen, Jay?
About 2 weeks ago.
Wow. It's interesting. That's real. I wouldn't, every time I crack a safe, I don't get hit. It's amazing.
Well, we do it right, so.
That's really what it comes down to. That's really that's an interesting run. And the only thing you got to pick it up on was the
we had low level of ammonia, and that was at like your floor level, and that was in the workshop, I guess is what you'd call the little area. But where so interesting, it's a fairly small jewelry store, but it had an office area, the workshop area, and then kind of behind the counter. It was all maybe 300-400 square feet, all right there together. The safe was actually in the office next to it, but we tested we were running the gas, the PID, colorimetric tubes in the HVAC room, in the bathroom. We were, pH paper, everything, wet and dry. We actually did get some pH change on wet, which was kind of interesting, but it was just enough for us to go, are you seeing this? Am I seeing things? That sort of thing. And we're in and out of there several times. So it was an interesting call. I learned something new all the time. One of the firefighters from the department, because it's a jurisdiction south of us, one of the firefighters from their fire department pulled a article out of his locker that he got off the CDC's website about this thing. And he went, you know what? I think this is what we're dealing with. And sure enough, he had an article in his locker about it.
What was your PP?
We wore SCBA turnout gear, and we went in initially with rubber gloves on, butyl gloves underneath our fire gloves, and it was too difficult to work, so we just ended up working in the butyl gloves.
That's interesting.
Were you guys getting anything on anything other than just the pH? Like
the only thing that we got hit on was the colorimetric tube for ammonia.
That's interesting.
You guys have an APD 2000?
Do we?
Do you? Yeah.
There's one at the college that I hear you can run radar with, but no, we don't use it. We don't use an APD 2000.
Just curious.
Yeah.
False positive? Is that what you're asking?
I mean,
a lot of
places use colorimetrics because they don't have other electronic sensing capabilities. Do you guys have anything to pick up those irritant / WMD stuff? What do you? I mean, I don't want. And you know what? Before we get into this, I know what's coming on the chat. I can feel it.
I haven't been watching it, but I know what's coming.
Coming down the pipe. Do you have capable? We'll leave it as just general term. Do you have capability to electronically pick up a something of the blister chemical choking blood agent and or irritant? Which actually irritant is very hard to pick up as far as what we have nowadays. I mean, not the presence of, but the qualification, not the quantification.
So right. So we would use M256 kit, or if you're asking me, do we have like a Bro or another device? The answer is no.
Okay. All right. Very good. I'll move along. Yes, a couple of people have mentioned that this is our 50th anniversary. This is our 50th episode, and whoop-de-doo. Okay, so anyway.
We won't count the one where we didn't exactly get on.
Yeah.
Somewhere around that.
Do you guys want to go into the 2-minute little nuggets? Actually, Mike's going to be like a 20-minute nugget, or do you just want to go into a news, news article just to cleanse the palate?
Ooh.
Let's cleanse.
Cleanse?
Yeah.
Let's cleanse. I just ate my drumstick ice cream.
Oh.
So my palate is in the process of being cleansed. So yes, let's cleanse our auditory palates.
You should really just bombard the chat group with that product so that it's kind of even. All right. So federal agency won't name a company that supplied toxic ricin to Aniston Lab, according to Eddie Burkhalter, the Star staff writer in the Aniston Star. The federal officials Tuesday declined to name the lab that supplied the Aniston training facility with toxic ricin instead of non-toxic strain that it had ordered, which experts have said put some workers to risk. Jason McDonald, spokesman for the CDC, in message to the Star on Tuesday, wrote that the agency policy is not to identify the entities by name for security reasons. I'm going to skip a little bit ahead. Upon learning of the problem, the CDP ceased use of the ricin at the Cobra facility, began reviewing its agency and suppliers and the policies for receiving and handling the toxin. McDonald. Okay, moving forward.
I'm sorry, but wasn't Aniston isn't that a live agent place? Like,
that is the name of the class, live agent.
So are we like? Is this now Aniston comatose agent?
Yes, it's
like. Are we actually not dealing with live agents like the title of the class says?
I took this class in 2002, and I mean this with all love, because I'm sure this is going to get back, but I had suspicions back in 2002. All right. It would be prudent to use respirators. Civilians, first responders who train at the facilities detect the nerve agents GB, VX, and biological toxins such as ricin and anthrax wear full personal protective equipment, including respirator masks. And after the lives of workers were placed in jeopardy because of the lack of respiratory use, and McDonald said by phone on Tuesday that the CDC is still investigating that possibility. All I know is that the select agent inspectors were initially told, and that's what we're investigating now, if there's actually any extent of exposure. So the way I'm reading this is that they got a live batch, and they don't normally get a live batch.
From the previous article, I thought it was because they use live agent there. I think one testament is that nobody got hurt, so I guess they're using their PPE right. But that they use live agent in one, and I may be wrong, but one area, and I went there also back in like 2002. I forget who was running it at the time. And Bob Lundgren, who's there right now, says that proves that the PPE works. And so what I understand is this was one of the areas at the facility where they used a fake agent instead of the real stuff, but ended up using the real stuff. So the PPE works. And I kind of recall as a lab packer back in the days, we'd get ricin. I mean, it was a regular microbiology lab type thing, and just lab pack it as a poison 6, and it really wasn't a big deal back in the day. Like Bob just pointed out, it sounds like they used their PPE correctly. It wasn't like people were dropping dead. I think what is shocking a little bit about those articles is it seems like there might have been some, say, administrative and record keeping stuff that was a bit sloppy.
Yeah.
And when there's companies making millions off that, you might expect more, but I don't know. It was interesting.
Well, I don't know. Well, all I know is if I'm going to a class called Live Agent, I want to know that I'm going to lick the shit and die. That's what I want.
Yeah, and like Bob L says, is nobody got hurt, so they're doing something right with the PPE.
Well, I mean, when we went to this thing, and you're dealing with some of the worst stuff that's out there. You're dealing with ricin, you're dealing with VX, and I remember it's almost a script, and again, I really should. These guys are good guys. They and the school is fantastic, but it's like you get the same thing. Oh, we have an overbreach. Let me look at your eyes, and everybody run for the cover, and then it kind of didn't feel right, and. I would still go out there. I'm going to go again probably really soon to go and retake this class, but it just seemed like it was a little theatrical. Maybe it was just the actors. I don't know. Maybe it was just it wasn't a believable film for me.
It was the naked group shower at the end. That's what.
I did. I got a valuable tip when I was there because we've got several friends of the show. Yeah, no, it was in the locker room. Had my clothes off and everything, and man, I've kept it with me to this day. But I was going to say, there's fans of the show and people we know that teach there, and I think the facility has kind of gotten better over the years with the instructors they've had. But I learned, put your socks on before your underpants. That's what I learned, because if your feet have something on them from the shower, a guy told me that in the locker room. I'm like, every time I put my socks on, I think about that.
Right.
Put your socks on before your underwear.
Yeah, that because your socks are clean. So if they touch, that area, I learned that at Anniston, Alabama, and it's stuck with me ever since. There's things that stick with you.
Duped.
And when we went, it was
But I don't wear shoes often, so it's a tough one.
So what do you do if you don't wear underwear?
Well,
you put a sock on it.
I didn't know what to say. Where do you put the sock?
That's funny.
Oh.
That is very funny. I like that. All right.
It wasn't meant to be funny.
No, I like it. That's when I get in there, I'll have to put my socks on first. I'll remember that. That will go down with the ship. Thank you.
You'll think about it. I put a good spin for Anniston. I could be their PIO.
Does anybody have a 2-minute drill that they want to throw out there? I know Mike's got something. Does anybody got a short one that they would like to throw out there before Mike gets on his soapbox?
No, Mike, get on your soapbox. Get to preaching.
Mike?
You sure, Jason? I heard you got a short one.
I did.
Put a sock on it.
All right.
Pop. Yeah, right.
So I got two things. One was a interesting thing that we had done with propane a little while ago, and I got some video of it, so I would like to share that. And basically what it is, just to kind of set it up real quick, is we were trying to figure out a really good way of burning off a motor carrier propane cylinder, which is everyone's tried to do it. They know is a huge pain in the ass because if you try to push the liquid through, you get the ball valve check and the thing shuts down to about 10%. You're going to be there all day burning it off. So we ended up doing this, and I apologize if the volume kicks on a little too loud. And you got to cock your head because it's all fun-gazy. So let's see. So what we ended up doing was we did a barrel burn. What he's doing is he's putting the leaking cylinder in the barrel, and then we light it up. And what we do is we open up the spitter valve and we turn it upside down to let the liquid out. And when we let that liquid out, we're able to burn off 3 pounds per minute this way. And we pretty much emptied the cylinder within a few minutes. So that one was pretty good. This is the same. This is a little bit different angle. We did a couple different burns on this. You can see all the propane coming out, boiling out. We are in contact with a little bit of the product, but this is a last resort type of a burn off. Burning off the liquid, going into the water, becoming vapor, really actually didn't have that much of a hazard. You would have expected more propane to be burning, but it actually did pretty good. So that's something that you can do just in case of emergency. And since we're talking about propane, I'm going to go ahead and show this, and I want to kind of talk about chemical physical properties a little bit that would allow this to happen. All right, so what he's doing is he's filling a bottle and he's pulling out liquid propane, pouring it in a soda bottle with some Coca-Cola in it and flipping it over. You got to watch this thing take off.
That's in Florida, right?
I don't know.
More than likely, that's Florida. That's right in Bob's backyard.
I see an alligator in there. So what's going on? What is causing this to happen? What is the chemical physical properties? What is the reaction that's taking place that's causing this bottle to take off like that?
Well, rapid expansion, right? What is it?
Of what?
Of the gas, from liquid to gas?
Yes, that is exactly what's happening. So the way they structure this, the way they set this up is they pull out liquid from the container, and if you go back, you can actually see the propane liquid sitting on top of the of that propane of the Coca-Cola bottle. So I'm just gonna replay this real quick. All right, you can see him emptying the liquid into, so that's liquid propane, and now he's pouring it. You can see it floating on top. See it sitting right on top? As he turns that bottle over, that liquid propane rushes through the liquid to try to swap places, because it wants to float on top. As this happens, you get all the liquid that wants to be a gas now warms up as it rushes beyond the liquid, and you have that sudden vapor expansion, which pushes the Coke out and propels the bottle at insane speeds. So just a little fun chemical physical properties and how things work.
I love it. I'm
You'll
gonna
now get my kids to watch. Thanks.
I love it. This is great. Well, so I'm trying to think of how to go with this. What's the learning point on this, Mike? What is it? The expansion?
Yeah, so it's really a couple different things. We're even starting from the beginning, where how the hell did he get liquid propane to sit in the bottle? So that would be like one of the first questions is how do you take a gas and get it to sit in the liquid? And the basic answer to this is auto refrigeration. So it took a tremendous volume of the vapor to come out before it ended up cooling enough of the liquid where it actually stayed minus 41 degrees and chilled inside the bottle.
I'm kind of surprised the bottle didn't become so brittle that it actually either cracked, blew, whatever. Like the plastic got so cold that it lost integrity.
Yeah, well, it's not under pressure, so it's just really, really cold at that point.
Okay.
And then the next chemical physical property that we're looking at is going to be the water density, or the density compared to water. So you have Coca-Cola, which is essentially the same as water, and then you have propane, which is a hydrocarbon, is lighter than water. And when you first look at that, you can see it sitting on top. So the water sits here and the propane sits here. And then the next thing would be that rapid vapor expansion from heat. So as you flip it over, all right, the propane still wants to be on top. It has to bubble and pass through all that liquid, in the process rapidly warming. So now you have thermodynamic heat transfer. And you can see how absolutely quickly you can go from being, minus 41 degrees to suddenly becoming a gas and expanding at, 270 something times its original volume,
right?
Pushing out all that liquid at a tremendous pressure and causing this bottle to just take off like a rocket.
And the way, and not to get into the weeds of this thing, but the way it actually propels itself is not by the expansion of the gas, but it's by the rapid pushing of the liquid.
Yes, it's the pushing of the liquid through the small nozzle that causes.
That's what actually causes the thrust, not the actual expansion of the liquid. But that's really cool. That's
yes. Liquid nitrogen will work the same way. Anything that's going to be a liquid at very low temperatures and convert to a gas at standard temperature pressure is definitely going to be something that's going to work.
Right, and typically these things that are, and don't hold me to this, I'm going to show there's going to be exceptions to it, but almost everyone that's going to be a liquefied by temperature, not by pressure, is going to be one of those simple asphyxiants.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I'm sure there's going to be, carbon dioxide and all the other crap, but those things usually are kept cold by either a thermos effect by keeping it cold, or it's either made liquefied by pressurization. So the ones that are just done by keeping it cold, actually liquid nitrogen. As I'm thinking about it, I'm finding holes in my theory here.
Yeah, well, and the propane is kept under pressure.
That was ridiculous. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
But I think propane is just kind of one of those in between, where it just takes a little bit of cold to turn it into a liquid, so it doesn't take a lot of heat transfer from the soda to the product to initiate a vapor expansion.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. I love it.
Yeah.
Phil, do you have anybody have? I don't want to put the spotlight on anybody wrong, but does anybody have a little 2-minute nugget?
He took all my time.
Don't blame me.
One thing popped in my head is and it's not on the same subject, but seeing what you were doing with the bucket. Did anybody back in the day used to rehydrate picric acid out of labs?
Oh yeah,
okay.
All days, no, never.
Yeah.
Wasn't that part of lab?
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a regular thing until the bomb squad got involved. But Try not to
Do
date
you want me to
myself.
put the barrel back on? Do you need to point something out, or?
No.
Okay.
Was that at the end of the thought?
So that was it. We were just strolling down memory lane.
That was 2 minutes. I was just thinking about my socks.
I love it. I was like, okay, did my audio just drop?
It's going nowhere.
It was like, and cut.
All right. I will do one more news article that actually I passed around my company in New York City because I thought it was very interesting because of the location of it. Was the title of it was after 2 incidents, the chemical weapons disposal facility remains idle. And it says that this is from Hazmat Nation. A Colorado chemical weapons disposal facility was left idle in the 2 incidents that occurred in late November, where one was reported left a 450-gallon hazardous material spill on the site. This is in Pueblo County, Colorado. Anybody know what else is Pueblo?
That's where the
Let's
HERS
see.
class
I think
is.
just north of there is a real common sex
Yeah.
change operation doctor, right?
No, that's not the
No, probably
No, I'm
one
not
of the
even
best
kidding.
trainings the government offers is down there.
Yes, it's Certec, I believe it is. That's the name.
Search
CERTC, that is the highway and the rail class. And I got to say, I've taken both the advanced and the regular of both, and they are pretty good. It is cold there, man. Wow. But anyway, 2 unrelated incidents resulted in the pause of chemical operations as chemical weapons destruction at the Pueblo Chemical Agent Destruction Pilot Plant, or PCAPP. While neither event posed any danger to the workforce or surrounding communities, they have temporarily affected the operations associated with disassembling the 155 millimeter munitions and subsequent destruction of the mustard agent. Wow. They fill of about 450 gallons of hydrolysate, sorry about that. I misspoke that. And they paused until they was stopped and the wastewater was cleaned up. That's interesting because I actually when I put this in the group for us for my fire company, I said I guess nobody's going to the highway for a little while, and that is the truth because I don't know if the school's even in session. They shut it down periodically. Hopefully they did for this one. Because I think this school is actually not too far from this.
No, you pass it on that giant, that twisty road. Absolutely. If anyone's ever driven that road at 63.5 miles an hour, you remember that road.
Yeah.
And you go right past it.
Yeah, it's a rather big complex. It's bigger than a building. It's big.
It's big.
That's interesting stuff. A lot of spills out there.
And that's their first in. That's somebody's first in.
Yeah. I would be tapping out if that came over my ticket box.
Well, you know what? Listen, this wasn't part of the whole thing, but I'm going to throw this out there. What was your best part of the 50th anniversary, 50 episodes? Jason, go with it.
I would say our most successful interaction was
Mike.
Yes, when you and I went at each other.
Oh, you know what? I've had so many comments in that one episode that me and Jason did about how it was like one of the funniest episodes we ever did. I don't know what was so funny about it, unless I had a booger hanging on my nose or something like that. But
which you did.
I do that all the time. That's par for the course. Why was the Coke still a liquid if the propane was below freezing, or was it frozen solid?
No, it wasn't frozen solid because you have to remember at the very layer where these two liquids come together, you're going to have continuous heat transfer.
Yeah, it's almost like
right. I'm sure if it were to be left there long enough, it would start to freeze. However, you have that Coke warming up the propane at the same time you have the propane cooling off the Coke, and they didn't leave it together long enough to really come to an equilibrium.
Yeah. All right, good question. Mike, what was your favorite part of the 50th?
I'd have to say learning how to get redressed. I'm going to, from now on, put my socks on first.
Socks over the junk. Very good. And Phil, go with it.
I liked the episode that was just you and Jason. I found it to be hilarious. I missed the Kosh green.
That's mine.
Green screen. Did I steal yours? That's up there as my
the Predator. Oh my god!
Yeah, I would Predator, and then everybody else didn't get to experience the non-censored side of what we got to hear of that, and that was just classic.
Yes. Let me tell you, guys, if I do all the audio editing, and the way this works is that this is the live unedited version that you guys are seeing on live online. But what happens is everybody's recording into a where is it? Is my recorder? If you can see a little bit of it, and that's a real digital recorder. It records on that, and then after the show, everybody drops into a Google Drive, and I take all these things and I edit it all together, and I cut out all the coughs and all the other crap that goes on there. And there are some times where Bob Kosh drops offline, and it is just a string of God, what the heck? And it's always about Bob not having good technology. He is off location right now, but he is having a better time than me right now. So, but that is always my thing. But mine is the Predator Vision. Bob Kosh, always welcome in the earlier versions of this before he got quality internet. So
I do have to say I did enjoy our broadcast from the car on our way up to Massachusetts.
Oh, that was
oh boy.
See, that was pretty good too. And you know what? Massachusetts is going to happen this year again. Me and actually, I don't know if you guys are going to it, but New York State just hired us for the New York State Fire Hazmat Convention Conference thing. It's going to be good.
Did you sign up under a different name?
No. I work for the guys. I work for the state, so I might as well get it.
That's awesome. I will say in this reminiscing the what is it, Wayne's World, where they is probably one of my favorite, and what we're hoping to do, especially if we change the new format, was when we had Paul Rogers on for the batteries. I think that was some of the most knowledge we were able to throw out, because with our with the group of regulars that actually tune in here, there's so much brain power. So that's kind of the goal, is to bring in more of that, since we have all of 9 million listeners right now. Although putting up that thing you did, Mike, with the little bottle, that might get 50 million hits, because that's the kind of stuff my kids watch.
And I know it's kind of but I cannot believe the amount of people I've met through this show. Christine Saracino, and I know I'm saying that name wrong, Mike Kimura, Bob Stern, great guy, a whole bunch of people out there that I have just met through this show. We talk on Facebook, we talk on the email, and they come to the presentations that me, Mike, Phil, and Jason, and Bob Kosh put on. We wouldn't have met you guys through any other means but this show. So we are, Mike, should I let it out of the bag that we're changing?
Yes. Yeah. Go for it.
All right. We have officially purchased a new platform. Don't panic. Remain calm. If you panic here, you panic on a fire floor. All right. We are going to be changing over to a much more robust system than the Google Hangouts has allowed us to do. It is going to allow us to do everything from just our regular webinars, but it's going to give us so much more power that we can bring you onto the show. We can take you off the show. We can, what else? We can do webinars, instructions, videos, polls, questionnaires. We haven't even figured out all the stuff that we can do yet, but I'm telling you, it's amazing. So in the next couple of weeks, probably right around the new year, we are going to have a brand new system that will look exactly like you're looking at now.
As long as Kosh has as much trouble with it as he does this, because those excerpts are the best part. I love it. He's so mad.
Wife. It's getting very expensive to buy off his wife to say, listen, just stick a fork in the thing. All right, please.
No, but it will be good. And for those of you listening, you normally just kind of sign on to the YouTube page. What will end up happening is a link will go out in various media platforms, and you basically click on the link and you're going to register to watch the class, and you will receive an email with the link if you have registered. And after you register, you just click on the link when it's time to start, and it's going to bring you right up to where you need to go. There's no, you don't have to go to YouTube. You don't have to try to stream anything. It's just, it'll bring you right to it. So it'll be very nice.
Before we go around the table, I just want, like Ronald Huffman just told me, we might want to say about how large of an ignitable area around this vapor cloud that when this thing comes out of this bottle is really going to be. I would not be wearing my corduroy jeans, if you know what I'm saying, because the friction factory between your legs.
Smoking a cigarette.
Insane. So do not have any ignition source.
Yeah. Wool socks for sure.
Yeah, this is not recommended by the Hazmat Guys Nation Roundtable at all.
We are not responsible for loss of misdirected body parts.
Yeah, if you do screw up, we will have you on this show, and I promise you, we'll laugh at you.
It's like the beginning of MythBusters, you know. These are professionals.
That's
right.
We're not even professionals. Just don't even try this.
Or the beginning of Jackass, whatever
Yeah,
kind of
that
mix
too.
we're
Yes.
doing.
That's more us.
Let's go around the table. Jason, where can we find you, and what are you doing?
You can find me at Jason at Hazmat Nation. Stay tuned in for more things upcoming, more teams being profiled, and more original content from Bobby Salveson and Mike Monaco very, very soon. Yes, I know. It's awesome. And so, yeah, I want a big shout out to Phil for being chosen for FDIC, and there's your segue.
Nice.
Oh, thank you.
So we will see you in the Midwest soon.
Yeah, that's in April. I'll be teaching. What am I teaching? The gray area where rescue meets hazmat, and it all started with a conversation with Jason and a call that they had, and then we took a number of calls that we found, and it all has to do with the first in considerations when you're not the hazmat team, and how you can actually save a life, and how the rule of thumb doesn't apply. And I've got some really good stuff for that. FDIC had me do a video for it, and then I did another one on the FireX talk where I babble about it. And if this is my segue, we did some stuff this week on industrial fire. I think if it was daylight, I could look out my window and see the top of a refinery for me, and I have some in our first in. And we wanted to learn more, so we had Ryan Henry, who we're actually pushing for to try to get a scholarship to FDIC, who helped us out quite a bit on NFPA, was it 1081, industrial fire? And we put up a quiz, and I get to see all the results of the quiz and talk about the 50th anniversary. The average score is about 50. And so I got 100 because I had all the answers. But it's something we were going to talk about today. But try taking it, and it was all stuff. If you're anywhere near these things, we should all be a little more familiar with them. So we could probably cover it in another day, another podcast, another article. But all the answers are built into either our social media stuff or on Hazmat Nation. But yeah, I got 100%, so you should also. But yeah, the scores were really, really bad. I think so far 290 people have taken it, and the average is horrible.
Yeah, I took it too, and I got an 8. But you should pay no attention to Mike. I'm going to put him on mute.
Sorry.
There's nothing going on there. Anyway,
there's a fat lady down at Walmart.
Yes.
Respond, please.
I'm sure that it's whatever. Anyway, that questionnaire was I tried to do it right off the cuff. I only got an 80. I was a little ashamed.
And you know what? Post your
It's
score.
not easy, yeah.
Jason worked really hard on some badges associated with your score, and share them even if you got the.
And I'm selling the gold I'm a Genius Chiefs badge for $2.99 if you just email me your PayPal.
I love it.
But I'm not the one that coined it. I forget who and raise your hand if you were, but every shift just get 1% smarter at your job. And that was kind of the goal with this, because Jason and I both, when we were talking to Ryan, said, I don't know anything about this stuff. And we wanted to put together a basic quiz that would help everybody out. And this is not from the experts. It's just from people that actually, Ryan Henry actually shows up at one of those facilities each day and does it. He doesn't have a bunch of letters after his name, but he lives it and breathes it. So he helped us out with that, and we appreciate it.
Listen, this guy is so into what he does on the industrial side. I think normally these quizzes Phil's talking about, it's usually, I throw in 4 or 5 questions. Phil throws in 4 or 5 questions. I think Ryan Henry did 9 of the 10.
I love it.
What did you do? Like, what color is fire?
I did 1. And I made the badges. That's all I did. Hey, my favorite one is if you really bomb the test, you get a participation badge.
Yeah. So bomb the test, check it out, share it. Don't be ashamed.
Mike, where can we find you?
You can find me at Mike at the Hazmat Guys. You can email me there. You can find us at the podcast, the Hazmat Guys podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, whatever the hell else we put out. And we do bang out conferences from time to time, and I will not get too deep into it, but I would like to say that we are working on a new format for a conference show. It is going to be about law, and it will probably be one of the most exciting conference shows ever put on. And I'm not even kidding. We're going to structure this thing so that it is actually entertaining and fun and totally deals with law.
And hammers and all types of stuff. Awesome.
So
we're gonna turn this whole speaking thing up on its end.
Yeah,
these guys are clowns, and you're right.
But I just say I'm a big fan. I learned from it. I don't know. It's something about the way the way you present it. I'm absorbing it. I've been catching up on the podcasts in the pool, and it's a good place to listen to them.
Yes,
if you swim
underwater,
not
radio.
Swimming, then don't.
Those podcasts are great from the deep end.
Yeah, with schools with fish around you in the ocean, it's pretty good if you're swimming.
All right, I am Bobby Salveson. I am one of the other guys from the Hazmat Guys podcast, and just a couple upcoming episodes. Today dropped the phase changes where we really go into the physical changes, not just the chemical changes. But we just snagged another one of those great interviews with a guy named, you might have heard him, Greg Knoll. He is chairman for NFPA 472, and he came on and did a rather lengthy, I'm going to say 48 minute interview with me and Mike going over the history. And I got to say, when he started talking, we have to go back and really, he said some stuff that I'll give a couple of teases, but OSHA was written off NFPA.
No,
I had
wow.
no idea about that. That was amazing. And this guy's been in it since the beginning. He's been in it since the mid-'80s. So this guy he knows where all the skeletons are buried.
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah. Me too. That's weird. So that's coming up, and we have to finish off the year. I'm just gonna say it's gonna be a funny one. It's going to be a funny one. We're going to finish off the year with a funny class because we just took one of the most incredibly dry. For a hazmat person to say they took a dry class, it has to be extraordinarily dry. I took one that 60% of the 40 people in my class were heads down, broken noses.
That's Mojave dry.
Wow. And it was horrible, so I wrote a episode to keep myself awake, and it is morphed into something that's really cool. So that is going to be the final episode of the year. But
you say it's going to be funny?
I hope so. I don't know.
Who's going to do it? Yeah. Sorry, you teed that one up for me.
That's all right. Yeah, it's But we are going to try to knock that one out of the park. And I got to say, for the last episode of 50, I would like to thank all the people that helped make this happen. And like Phil, Bob Kosh, Mike Monaco, and Jason Rogers. I would like to thank everybody for coming out and really helping us out and making this where it is. The 322 that are watching this right now. Thank you, everybody, for watching this. It's a great honor to watch it. So, that wraps up another episode of the Hazmat Guys Nation Roundtable. Please be sure to go and follow us on our Facebook pages, which is Hazmat Nation and the Hazmat Guys. Be sure to catch this week and every week live on Tuesday at 21:15 hours Eastern Standard Time on YouTube Live. We'll also be producing this in a live podcast version on iTunes under the Hazmat Guys Nation, and we will be posting this video on our YouTube channel at THMGnation@gmail.com. That's it, guys. Good night.